Welcome to another tutorial, and in this one we're going to learn how to create a river scene in Blender. So you saw at the start of the tutorial here the finished animation that you guys will learn how to create. So I'm going to take you through the process of how to create a pretty simple river scene in Blender. So here is the final scene, and yeah, I'm just going to take you through a little walkthrough here of how the scene is. So this is pretty much it. It's just our river here, the two sides with the terrain and the bushes, of course our sky and our sun lamp, and yeah, all that stuff together makes a river scene. So that's pretty much it. That's the whole scene right there. So let's go ahead and get started with the tutorial. Alright, so we got our blank scene here, so let's go and start creating our river. So first thing that we're actually going to do is we're going to create the land that you saw on the side of the river. So we're just going to add in a plane. I'm just going to scale this up just a little bit, and now we're going to scale it along the y-axis like that. You can make a bigger river or a smaller one, just depends on what you want. I think I went about that length. That should be good. Alright, now we're going to create some displacement for the ground. So I'm just going to add in some loop cuts, about 30. And I'm going to add some like this, just so we have enough geometry to make some ripples and bumps in the ground. Alright, so I'm just going to add in a subdivision subsurface modifier. Level 1 should be good. Let's add in a displacement modifier. Check new, go to the texture panel, and let's just turn up the size here so it's not as big. Turn up the detail. Also hit smooth shading in your toolbar. And now we're just going to take the strength down, like, let's go about there. Something pretty low. That should be good. Alright, so now we want a little bit of a fall off where the water can meet to the terrain. So I'm just going to go into front view here, go into edit mode, make sure I'm in vertex select mode, and I'm just going to select this end right here. And we're just going to hit E to extrude and just make a nice, simple fall off. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, just like that. There we go. So that way when we add in the water, it can go straight underneath the river down into the terrain. It can mesh together correctly. Alright, next thing that we're going to do is we are going to basically get all of this terrain done. So next up is adding in the material for the terrain. So I'm just going to add in a new material here. I'm going to call this terrain. Going to add in an image texture and hit I for image texture if you know the shortcuts. Going to open up a new texture, crazy bump. Alright, I'm just going to add in this one. We're not going to do any special crazy bump stuff. We're just going to add in a simple texture. So that should be good. Alright, just going to open up the UV image editor. And in top view, just going to go U, check from view bounds. And basically, in UV unwrapping, you want to match this to what your object looks like in the 3D view. So since it's long like that, we want to match that in the UV image editor. So just scale it like that. You can go Alt-Z to see it in textured view. See, if we didn't do that and we just left it like that and we scaled it up, it would be pretty stretched and it wouldn't look that great. So you just want to make sure that you do scale it accordingly, and then from there you can scale it up to make the dirt smaller. And that's pretty good. Yeah, looks good. I'm just going to hop to the node editor real quick. And the only thing I'm going to do for this is take the color output and plug it straight into the displacement, so we have full bump mapping on our texture there. Cool. Alright, so that is the material for the ground done. So let's add in the bush model. Now the bush model comes from Andrew Price's Nature Academy box of goodies. So I'll provide a link to the website where you can download that pack. He said that they can be used commercially for whatever you want. He said that they're yours once you download them. So I used one tree model from that pack that I'm going to go ahead and import right now. I'll take you through the texturing of the model too. So I'm just going to append it from my scene. Like I said, I'll provide the link to the website where you can download it if you haven't already. Alright, so I'm just going to append the object, tree brush, and there we go. Alright, so I made it a cube for when we add in particle systems. It's better to make it the view of bounds so it doesn't eat up your memory. Because if we were to put that in into the 3D scene in textured view, so you can change that here, that would eat up a lot of RAM and would make Blender very laggy. So that's why I always set it to be the view of bounds. Okay. Now the texturing for this stuff, it's all procedural. This is actually how it came. I think this was made for the internal rendering, so once we switch it over to cycles, you know, it gets all messed up. So I never changed any of the textures on here. I never made a special leaf texture or anything. So yeah, it's just a simple brown and a simple green. It's not much to it, but it still looks good. Okay, so here is our model. Let's go ahead and add that to our object here. So, new particle system. I'm gonna set the type to hair. Alright. Gonna check advanced. Set this to random. Let's set the normal to about 0.9. Size to 0.9. Set the random to about 0.5, so we have enough randomness. And now we just select our object, like that. You can see it's a little chaotic, so we may have to bring it down just a little bit. Let's just bring the normal down, just like that. There we go. Okay. So if we were to look at our objects here, you'd see that we have the nice trees, and it looks good. Okay. Alright, next up, what we're going to do here is we're actually going to just scale these down just a little bit more. That's good. Okay. Alright, we're going to set up the scene basically now. So since we have our object here, let's just move this over so we have room for that river. And we're just going to create a copy of this. So just Shift D and rotate, holding Control. And we're just going to move that over like that. So I want to make sure that these are pretty even. Okay, I think that's good. Pretty much I set it to where a little past the grid floor that you can see right there. So just a little bit past there, and yeah, they're pretty even. Alright, let's go ahead and add in the water material. Okay. So the water, well first let's set up the ocean. Not explode. Don't want our water exploding. Ocean, there we go. Alright, sometimes I find that it's better if we're scaling the water down to like a river, that instead of scaling it down, we will do that, but we also want to scale the spatial size down. And that'll make for more little waves to be in the scene. Because if you were to scale up the resolution, you can see little tinier waves. Okay. Let's set the scale to 0.05. Just scale this up just a little bit. And since we created that fall off, we can just put those right into our terrain. And they will be nice and seamless. Okay, so let's move this back like so. And just repeat it like that. Okay. Just scale that along the Y. Let's match that up a little bit. There we go. That is good. Alright. So for the water, I'm just going to add a new material. It's going to be glass. And the index of refraction for water, the way light bends through and stuff, is 1.333. Alright. Just make that pretty much completely reflective. Yeah, that's fine. But that does matter though. The darker you make this, the less that you will see light passing through the water and whatnot. So this is a very important thing. At 1, pretty much light is going to be passing completely through the water. So we'll just leave it at 1, all the way bright. Alright, so that is our scene. It's coming together. Let's go ahead and set up the sky and the lighting. So for the sky, let's just start with that. Check use nodes, and we're going to set that to black. Actually, it doesn't matter. We're just going to add in an image texture. And I'm just going to load in my sky that I have here. So the sky that I used is this guy right here. Okay, so we're just going to open up the image. And what we're going to do for the vector is we're going to set this to be the reflection. So basically with the water, it's going to be reflecting the sky off the water. So basically this is the way that it's going to be projected in the world settings. Okay, so that's the overall sky, but we're going to set that to be pretty low because we're going to have our main sky set up back here. So I have the images as planes add-on enabled by default. So just going to use that. Just going to click that, and again re-add in the sky. So skies, this one. And if you are using this add-on, just check emission so it actually emits light. And that's all you have to do. It automatically has the aspect ratio correctly done. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so for these, obviously we don't want our sky plane to emit a shadow onto the scene. So always uncheck shadow if you're going to have a sky like this. And also with the images as planes add-on, it by default sets the strength to be light path is camera ray. I'm just going to, and that basically means that it's not going to emit light, but it is going to be emitting light. It's just not going to cast light onto the scene. So I'm just going to remove that, and that should be good. Alright. So let's just move that back behind our scene, like that. Let's just pull this down, like so. Scale that up so we get more sky. And that should be good. Alright, I'm just going to rotate a little bit because I know our camera is going to be shooting out that way. So, whoops. Accidentally duplicated the sky there. Alright, there we go. Alright, so speaking of our camera, let's just go and set that up here. Get a nice shot with the bushes in here. Okay. So, yep, just setting open this up here. Let's set our sky. Whoa. How many times did I duplicate the sky? Alright, just gonna pull that, rotate that along the Z so it's facing me. And let's pull that down. Just gonna, grid floor is bothering me. There we go. Okay. Now obviously we got a bunch of objects that are going to be rendered off camera that are going to really eat up render times, especially if we're making this an animation, which comes at a bonus at the end of the tutorial. If you stay, I will show you how to animate this scene like I did for my final shot. But yeah, this is really going to eat up render times, all of this. So we're just going to add in a vertex group. I can see where I started going. So just added that all in right there. A little extra for the side, just so you have some safe areas. Alright, and let's go ahead and apply that vertex group. Here we go. Alright, now we do want to make these a lot bigger. Oops, let's unlink these first of all. So hit 2 so we can do these on their own thing. So we're just going to scale that up like that. And as well as this one, we're just going to start right up in there. Okay. So all of this needs a vertex group. There we go. Some safe areas. There we go. And select the vertex group. We're also going to set that to be pretty large. Alright, let's bring the camera out from here a little bit more. Let's bring it down to the water just a little bit. Looks like this one needs a little bit more right here. And I think that should be good. Alright, now to do the effect of how the area down here was kind of closed off. So basically we just want to take our object here and basically just, yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing. We're just going to mesh that together so it looks like the river is ending right there, or continuing on past the things. So you can see with that we need a little bit more safe room there. Just add in the back like that. There we go. Okay. Alright, so this looks like it'd be a little chaotic, but you can never tell with the object set to bounds how it's gonna look. But that's pretty much it. Let's just set up the sun lamp here. Have a little bit of a sharper shadow size. About 0.05. And we're also going to set the energy to 5. Alright, now we're just going to have a nice going down like that onto the thing. Some nice shadows casting through the plants. And as well as that, some cross shadowing going on there. A little bit of rotation like that, and down like that. Cool. Alright, so I think we're ready to see how our scene is coming together. Let's just do a little bit more fine tweaking. So we're going to go full 1080p, full global illumination, no caustics so we don't get any fireflies. Let's set up a little bit of depth of field here. We'll probably go about halfway across the river there. A little bit. Oops. Like that. Marker about in there. You can use f-stop, and the lower that you make this value, the higher the depth of field effect will be. Alright, so I'll have some nice depth of field on these plants close to the camera. And if we've done everything right, we should see a scene similar to mine that I created for my final one. So fingers crossed. I'm going to hit Shift Z to go rendered viewport shading And then let me just check border rendering, so it renders what's inside the camera view only. Alright, now we can hit Shift Z, and that's pretty good. It's a little more muddy than my final one, but it's actually, now that I think about it, it's actually pretty close. So we just want to fix the terrain here to be a little bit more, not like coming into the river like that. So we just had to do a little bit of fine tweaking here to have it come off the edges like that. Okay, there we go. So come off the edges like that, so they're all up there. So this one as well, just cutting off the edges, not too much, you know. Okay, whoops, there we go. Okay, so now they're kind of standing up a little bit more. I mean, you can go, you can do this however you want. You can go more chaotic and whatnot. I'm just gonna add in a little bit of randomness, maybe a little bit bigger. This one to be a little bit bigger too. Okay. I'm just gonna rotate that in just a little bit more, so they're meshing together more. And I think that is pretty much it, guys. Let's just check this again. Ooh, let's use our shortcut, Shift Z. I like doing that now. Discovered that by accident. Did that one day. I was like, whoa, cool new effect. Okay, it's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty much how I did it. You can see our nice little waves there with a high resolution and a lower scale count. We can get some pretty nice stuff. So you can see how the world setting, it looks pretty weird, but I mean, it works. It definitely looks weird, but the effect works, and I'm happy with it. You know, the way that it's going through the water. So that's pretty much it. There's not much more to add, except maybe some more trees. Oh, not 12,000. Oh, there we go. Oh, 1,200. 1,200. Just make these ones just a little bit bigger. And I'm just gonna move our camera in here just a little bit more up towards the sky, just a tad. Alright. Alright, so I think we are ready for the compositor. So just check that everything is good to go. Probably do about 500 samples. That should be plenty. Okay, so you could add in more stuff into the river, maybe rocks on the side. You know, you can add in all kinds of stuff to this scene. I'm just doing, you know, how I did my final one. Just the basics of that, but I do recommend adding in, you know, going into more detail, you know, adding in more objects to the scene. For my final one, I probably would have added in rocks, you know, just all kinds of stuff that you could add to nature scenes. Yeah, so that is that. So let's go ahead and render this scene and hop into the compositor once this is done rendering. Alright, so the render has finished. It took almost a half hour to render, a little bit longer than I expected, but it's done now, and we're ready for the compositor. One thing I'm gonna do, I do with most of my scenes, is I just check the overall brightness of the scene, just seeing where the hotspots are and how my lighting was. So yeah, pretty much the sky is almost completely white. So we got that high point right there, but it's not that bad. Alright, cool. So let's head to the compositor with Control left arrow and Control up arrow. Cool. Alright, check use nodes and backdrop. So basically, oops, just gonna move this stuff over. Gonna have my line of nodes right here. And I'm gonna hit Control Shift left click to add in a viewer node. And I'm gonna hit V to zoom out my backdrop there. And yep, that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and start. So our first node is going to be a glow to the overall scene. Oops. Filter glare. Okay. And we're gonna add in the fog glow. Set the quality to low. That'll give us an even bigger glow. Kind of bleeds over more. Set the size to 9, and let's set that to about 0.4. It's gonna take the brightest areas, like you can see, of the scene, and it's gonna brighten those up. So actually about 0.5, 0.6, that should be good. Yeah. Cool. Alright. It's gonna be a pretty simple composite. Next up is the color balance node. Just gonna click that. That is basically color grading. So I'm gonna set this to be a little bit blue. I'm gonna set this to be a little bit orange, like that. So offset the colors, just like that. So it's just a little bit of image correction, color correction, but it's the little details that matter. Alright, just gonna add in a sharpen node. Just to sharpen up the scene just a little bit more. So about 0.03 should be good. Just a little bit. And next up, let's add in the vignette. Alright, so I do it probably the old school way. There's probably a lot better of a process of doing this, but yeah, this is how I've always done it. So, filter blur, fast Gaussian, relative, excoloration, and 30 by 30. And to mix it back into the scene, I'll take you back through this once I get this done too. So type to multiply to mix it, and scene goes into the top input. There we go. There's our vignette. It's basically a lens distortion. It's going to bend the image like that. Then you add in a math node, setting the type to greater than. So it's going to make the bent out area white and the rest of it black. Then we're going to blur out those edges like that, so you can already see that a vignette effect is there. Then you just have to multiply it into the scene, and there you go. So this is obviously, the bigger you set that factor amount to, the more the vignette will take place. And one thing that you might have noticed is after you add in a vignette, your scene gets pretty dark. Like, this is it before the vignette, so you can see our sky, and that is it after the vignette. So I always add in my my brightness after the vignette, just to pop that back up to where we had it, but still keeping, you know, the vignette in place, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So I think I'm actually just going to leave the vignette at 1. Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't think there's anything else for us to add. Maybe just add in a little bit more glow. There we go. That's nice. I think that's pretty much it, guys. That is the end of the tutorial. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial. I hope you learned something from it. I hope that you guys enjoyed it too, watching it. Just taking you through a simple scene that I created. This scene is actually a shot from my upcoming short film, The Great Outdoors, which is set to be released at the end of this month. So I said summer 2014, and that means at the end of this month, so August 2014, I will release the short film, and I hope that you guys will like that and watch that. But this is, I thought I'd do a shot from my film, so this is one of the shots, and that's all I got. Thanks for watching this tutorial, and hope you learned something from it. Like I said before, take this scene wherever you want, add in more stuff, and if you stay tuned, I will do a little 5-minute how to animate this scene under 5 minutes. So stay tuned for that, but thank you for watching the main tutorial, and have a great day. Alright, so we're back here. Little 5-minute how to animate this scene nicely under 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with some basic camera motion. I'm just going to open up my graph editor here, like this. And basically, for the final frame, I'm just going to leave this at the 250. That's 10 seconds of animation. So I'm going to hit I, and that is going to enable the location and rotation. So that's where I want my camera to end up. Now we're going to jump back to the beginning of the animation, and I'm just going to do a nice pan down like this towards the water, like so. Let's get the scene set up. I, lock rot. So basically now, if we were to scrub through this, it's basically going to do very simple camera animation like that. You can add in a little bit more stuff here to kind of make the camera look a little more shaky and whatnot. But yeah, just a nice little simple animation like that. Now, if you want the animation to kind of be a little bit faster or slower, that's going to be this guy over here. I'm just going to leave it though like this, and yeah, that's how you animate that. I'm just gonna get rid of these though. I was just showing something that you could do, but you would need to add in more frames to the scene to do that. Okay, so basic thing like that, I'm gonna hit V vector. That's gonna make it start and stop just like that. Alright, and honestly, the last thing that we need to animate is the water. So you're gonna go to the time here and set that to hit I, hovering over the time, and we're gonna jump to the end again. So shift right arrow, go to the end of our timeline, and basically the higher you set this, the more the waves are gonna move faster. So I'm just gonna set this to about 20, just so you know we have some nice ripples. And always with water, you do want to set that to be vector, so it's already starting when the animation is starting. And that is basically it. You're not really going to be able to see the water moving, but it is moving. And that is pretty much it for animating the scene. That's all I really did, was a basic camera animation up with the water moving. And there you go. That is animating the scene under 5 minutes. So that's all I got. See you later.